it's improved the culture because that, like I said, that ownership aspect of it, along with the accountability, it's just, they go hand in hand really, really well.
Cody, welcome to Manufacturing Transform. Good to have you here.
Thanks for having me, Paul.
So you and I got to meet each other in person. What was that, about 3 weeks ago now, something like that. I was spending some time in Florida with my new nephew, and you guys are just like an hour away. So I'm like, I'm going to go check out Ferrera Tooling. And man, I was impressed with what you guys got going on there. What an incredible company doing amazing work, beautiful facility, machines, like the whole 9 yards. And one of the things that really impressed me was the team. You know, you guys have, I mean, talk about like having the right people in the right seats of the bus, you know, that whole old adage. Seems like you guys really have that dialed in. So it was fun to see it. And I'm excited to chat here today about the company and about how ProShop has been a positive influence with you guys over the last couple of years. So let's start with your background I know you shared a little bit of it, so I think people will find it interesting about how you got into machining and ultimately ended up here.
So I was born and raised in Jacksonville, Florida. I ended up at UCF for mechanical engineering. Go Knights. After college, ended up working as a mechanical design engineer at a few different industries. Was up in Jacksonville for a little while at a fab shop working on diverters and industrial flow control equipment for power plants. So that was a lot of fun. Got my feet really wet into what it looks like to make something from raw materials. You know, it was really my first experience out of college, getting into something like that. From there, I ended up moving to a contract position at Walt Disney World Orlando in the planning department, and I was on I think it was an 18-month contract there. And while I was there, Ferrera was actually one of my suppliers. So I would, send out quotes to different places, and Ferrera was one of the ones that would end up getting a lot of my work. Yeah. So I got to develop a relationship with the main sales lead, Mike, and timing worked out really weird because I was there right at the end of 2019, beginning of 2020. And knowing my contract was coming to an end, I was starting to put feelers out, reach out, see what my next career move was going to be. Got a hold of Mike, and pretty much everything fit real well when I got to meet some of the Ferrera team. And timing worked out to where I accepted my offer at Ferrera and went in to give my 2 weeks notice at Disney the day that Disney shut down for COVID. So timing couldn't have been better for me, but Absolutely. It worked out to where I could just exit from that. And everyone was being sent home anyway. Sure. And I get to take 2 weeks to transition over here to Lakeland and start this next career move.
I'm so glad it worked out just that way for you. So before we jump into Ferrera, let's just talk a minute about the machine shop at Disneyland, Disney World. Like, yes. How cool! Like, I wear my Thank a Machinist t-shirt pretty much every day. Roller coaster rides would not exist without machine shops, without machinists. So just talk a little bit about the work they did, how that contributed to the operation of the entire park.
Yeah, so Disney's got their, obviously they have central shops right there on site. That is their machine shop and assembly shop and paint shop and the whole 9 yards. Welding, everything happens there. They typically will have work either go through shops or sub out to other shops. And while I was there in the planning department, my role was mostly to take the orders from the parks and release them through the shop or send out POs to companies like Ferrera to have the parts made. And it was pretty cool. They've got, obviously, machine shop, assembly shop, weld shop, paint shop, a whole bunch of, fiberglass and inventory and storage. It's a big production going on over there at Disney. I want to say in just their machine shop alone, they've probably got, I don't know that now, but back then I want to say they had 8 to 10 different manual lathes, and I want to say close to 12 manual mills. Then there was a few CNC mills and lathes, but a lot of it was old school manual style. So it was just interesting to see just how the mouse, gets their work done. It's a pretty massive undertaking for a company that big. So it was interesting to be there and see how a company of that size operates, and then make this transition over to Ferrera, which is obviously not as big as the Walt Disney Company, but it's completely different world. It's nice to see. They have a lot of red tape, which makes sense because of all the security or safety requirements.
Of course.
But getting over onto this side, that it's not that there's less red tape. It's just that we now have to deal with getting our ducks in a row to meet the requirements.
Oh, very cool. It's just fun to picture, this most wonderful place on earth with a bunch of machinists in the background, making sure all the rides are happening and all the things are safe. And it's,
sure.
just underscores the importance of machinists in the world. Awesome. So you had the perfect timing over during COVID, come over to Ferrera. Tell us a little bit about the snapshot of the business today. How many people, machines, what you guys, industries you serve? There's a million kinds of shops.
Yeah. So Ferrera specializes in CNC machining. We also have some assembly capabilities that we've added on recently, which is nice to just round out that offering to different customers. We mostly serve the aerospace, theme park, and packaging industries. I think we're up to 58 employees right now. We had, I want to say, 24 when I joined in 2020. So it's just steady, consistent growth upward. It's pretty cool to see. Yeah, it doesn't look like we're stopping anytime soon. I think we've hired on another 2 employees last month, and we're going to keep the train running.
Yeah. And when you say aerospace, can you just maybe elaborate a little bit more? You were talking about like Boeing planes. I know you guys make a lot of things that go higher up in the air than where Boeing planes fly.
Yeah, so there's a couple companies that are exploring the outer space trajectory of sending stuff up like satellites and payloads and different things like that. So we're actually supporting a few of those companies with a lot of their endeavors. So if you see a rocket launching from the Cape, their odds are we've got a part that has something to do with that.
Yeah.
On top of that, we're also really involved with the ground support equipment, all the different phases of these companies. Like we try to be, a sole source for as many of the buyers that need, machine parts. We want to be that go-to supplier.
Super cool. Yeah. It was fun seeing some of the parts you guys were making when we did the shop tour. All right. So you guys have more than doubled in the last 5 years. Tell me a little bit about, as you guys sort of progress towards the decision that you needed some kind of better software system to help run the shop. What was going on with, scheduling or just, inefficiencies that were too challenging to continue with?
Well, when I joined in, I came on to help with the sales side. Since I came from Disney, I actually took over the Disney account. And as I worked my way out of that back towards the engineering side of processes, I actually got to take over the planning process here at Ferrera. And that came with learning the old ERP system that no one had really taken the time to figure out because it was so old and so just difficult to maneuver. So a lot of the status quo here was just chaos would be the word I'd put to it. Just for example, our working schedule was a Google Sheets document. That was just a simple one line on the document was the entire job, and that moved up and down on the schedule as things progressed through the shop. And as you can tell, that probably has a lot more wrong with it than we were even aware of.
Right.
We were having priority meetings twice a week to review that schedule. There were paper travelers everywhere, and there's a general lack of trust when you see a due date on a piece of paper. Not only for it being, oh, hey, this is an uncontrolled document that's now potentially out of date, but also I don't know if I can trust this date that got printed out 2 weeks ago because the shop obviously is changing every day. Basically, like we saw the writing on the wall and knew we needed to make some type of change and move towards a paperless system sooner rather than later because there was no real way of continuing the growth at the rate we were growing if we were going to stay in that system.
Okay. Yep. That makes a lot of sense. And were you guys already AS9100 back in those at that point?
Yes, okay, that had already been achieved. So we were AS9100 prior to that ERP, which means we were using Google Sheets and Microsoft Excel to print out the travelers. back in the day.
And then your QMS would have also been just in Google Sheets and Docs and file folders and all that normal stuff.
Very basic, manually controlled in Windows Explorer.
Got it. Okay. All right. And all the challenges that come along with that. And so it sounds like going paperless was one of your goals in finding a new system, not just finding something new, but something that could support going paperless. Is that accurate?
Right. So actually, our owner, Brian, he had the idea of building our own ERP system from scratch. He had seen what we were using. He obviously I believe he met either you or someone else with ProShop at IMTS in Chicago years ago, maybe 2016, 2017 era. And I think that was around the time we were just getting our feet wet with the ERP system we just left. So it was a little bit of, oh, well, why do we need to bother with you guys? We're signing up with these guys.
Right. Sure.
So yeah, when we ended up making that transition to that ERP system, we implemented it. Everything was paper based. Brian came up with the idea of building our own ERP, and we started that, I want to say mid 2023 or so, just kind of playing around with what does it need to look like. I want to say he did some demos of some systems, and then came across ProShop and signed up for a demo, and then just kind of stopped worrying about building our own system because ProShop has everything we were looking to build. Like he actually pulled me in and we went through a demo, and we determined that it did meet all the criteria we were looking for. And the fact that it was paperless was the icing on the cake to making a clean break from the system that was mostly bogging us down.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm glad. Glad you signed up for the demo, and I know you guys had built some pretty neat things. You showed me some things you had done, but I mean, after doing it now for 25 years, it's it takes a long time to build a good ERP.
Yeah, we didn't want to wait another 25 years to build our own, so we signed up, and it's been full steam ahead since.
Awesome. And so when did you go live? And can you just talk a little bit about the sort of training and onboarding experience you had?
I want to say our demo was in March of 2024, and we began fully transitioning to ProShop in October last year. Okay. So I want to say, we started putting some of the old jobs in and transitioning, and I want to say we had a clean break back in February where no longer were people logging in or clocking in for time or for pay in the old system. We made the clean full break to ProShop and ripped the Band-Aid, and it's been a world of difference and improvements and efficiency and all of the positive words that could describe where we're at.
Awesome. Maybe besides the old ERP, and obviously you had a Google Sheet for your schedule and Google Sheets and Docs for your QMS, are there any other little systems for tooling or, fixtures or who knows what, inspection, just like how many different other systems, spreadsheets, databases you might have replaced when you brought it all under the ProShop umbrella?
Well, if there was something that we didn't have a system for specifically, then that is one of the areas our IT team tackled to make our custom page for a landing for that. The things that ProShop really did resolve was mostly those documents, those Microsoft Excel's instances, which wasn't just used to hold data. It was actually used as a calculator for our estimating and sales team. Inventory tracking was done in Google Sheets and Microsoft Excel by multiple different people. So we had the same document containing the same parts, but different quantities at different dates, saved in different locations everywhere. Serial number tracking was all through Excel. I want to say we had a shared OneNote file that all of the order specific notes would stay live updated on that document, which I'm glad we moved away from that for ProShop as well, because that's another uncontrolled system that if someone doesn't know to go open the document and look on this line, how are they going to know?
Yeah. Not to bring back any horror stories, but can you just recount any situations that resulted from that multiple data in multiple systems thing and someone didn't know that some piece of critical thing was over here versus over there?
Yeah, I want to say that we didn't rely on it without a grain of salt to an extent. Yeah, I mean, I would say mostly we had issues with trace would probably be our biggest issue in our old systems, and that was just straight up from the old ERP system. As soon as we had the traveler printed out, if it was printed from the ERP, then that was an uncontrolled paper now that someone has to make sure they go find that piece of material. Right. And if someone's picking up the job and grabbing the thing because we need to go and it's hot rush, get it in the machine now, if someone's not paying attention. And we had a couple trace escapes that we had to deal with at that time, which granted nothing got out of the building, so nothing was an external escape. It was all containments internal. But yeah, the new system has just taken that stress and worry off of all of our shoulders because we can trust that we're following the process and sticking to the system. And it's almost like ProShop wants to do the work for us sometimes.
That's a cool sentiment. Yeah. And the old way, I mean, when you're trying to have a high velocity shop of just like having things go smooth and getting jobs out the door and shipping parts, like having to like come to a screeching halt and figure out, all right, do we have the right material and this and that? And just that's a a speed bump that no one needs and wants to deal with. So,
yeah, the last thing we want to do is put the job on hold.
For sure. Yeah. Because they got rockets to launch, coming very hot and heavy. So once you guys really started getting into it, can you go back and think of either the first features that you really realized, like, holy cow, this is going to save us so much time, or just some big improvement that you started seeing right away?
Honestly, it was probably the demo as a whole, seeing how ProShop wants to take the system, the systematic approach of following the process from estimate to sales order to work order, and the way that everything ties together. There wasn't necessarily one or two features that made us really interested. It really was all the features as a package. Just seeing it almost felt like every time throughout the demo that we got shown something new or cool, I had just mentioned to Brian, and like I whispered to him, like, it'd be cool if they did this. And then all of a sudden the next like 10 minutes, we're going over exactly what we just talked about. Like, how are they psychic? I don't get it.
Just ran shops before. That's all.
There you go.
And when you actually started using it, did the reality live up to the hype of the demo?
Oh, big time. I mean, moving to paperless was a huge impact. I mean, across the board, we've seen streamlines in the front side order entry. I know that in the past, I showed you the stack of the sales orders that was on my shelf. The old process, we'd have to wait on that paper packet to travel to 7 different desks before I could get to the point where I could release a work order. And now it's just everything's in the system. Oh, someone didn't do their job. Let me send a little Teams message real quick, and we're back on board. Right. On the floor is the same scenario. It's scheduling jobs to the machines and then feeding the data and updates directly to the floor without risking like a piece of paper floating around with incorrect information. It's reduced a ton of confusion. The operator's a lot more confident in what they need to do. It's also helped kind of organize the chain of command to an extent. Like, people aren't walking around just asking, well, what does this mean? What am I supposed to do? Everything's pretty much laid out in the system. And if they don't know, they just ask their supervisor and roll from there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Kelsey said something to me at one point a few years ago that I hadn't thought about it exactly in that way, but I think it was really insightful. And you basically just said something similar. He said confidence, for a machinist equals speed, right? Just the speed at which they set up their jobs and they know they got the right tools and materials and the G code, and like, they're not like hesitant because what if this isn't the right thing, right? Does that sound true for you and your machinists on the floor?
Absolutely. Yeah. There are a lot of checks and balances. If the old system, it was kind of just I'm going to press this button and hoping everything goes right. But now they've got checks and balances. They've got the print up on a second monitor to double check a feature they're inspecting after a tool path. They've got just a lot more visibility to what the programmer's in charge of as well, and how we're communicating from programming to the floor. using like the written description or other features within the operation itself. It's been just a game changer for communication. And like you said, that confidence is super critical on keeping, that throughput at a maximum.
I love it. And that's, in a fast-paced, machine shop, you got to have that speed. You got to have that confidence, or else things not that you're putting it on hold, but it slows everything down, and you miss, this part didn't finish today, it finishes tomorrow, and that pushes out the next job. And, a lot of our customers say that they see something on the order of, depending on the shop, but, 10 to 25 or 30% more just throughput, even without any more machines or people. And I think it's these little things, these confidence boosters, that they know they're doing the right thing. They can just, move ahead quickly, be confident, just helps accelerate everything. So hopefully that's what you guys are seeing as well.
Absolutely.
So you already kind of alluded to a physical traveler moving to like 7 different desks, which is funny because I've used that same analogy for so long, right? And people don't know there's a job coming until it literally hits their desk, and then they react to it, as opposed to being, alerted instantly when there's a new order, and they can see it and be proactive about their part of it. Maybe just tell us a little bit about how jobs used to be put out in the shop, and how machinists knew which job was for which machine, and your leads or people that were helping manage all that. How did that work prior?
So typically the paper traveler would get printed out with the work order and a copy of the print. That would get put at the back of the building for material incoming, and that was just sorted however it needed to be sorted based on incoming material. So whoever happened to be in charge of material receiving that day would have an idea of what should be coming in that day, and when it came in, they'd match it up, and they'd figure out what machine it needed to go to based on the traveler, which sometimes was not accurate because one of our work centers was General Mills.
Got it.
That's not a machine.
Yeah, sure.
So a lot of that was, there was a lot of extra questions being asked that the information wasn't readily available. Staging for machines was a mess. There's like shared material racks. The trace was as good as whoever put the material there with its work order, that there's your trace. We implemented many measures over the years to secure that trace and ensure that nothing would get mixed up or lost. But the old way was just, again, chaos is the best word I can use to describe it. It was uncontrolled and slow. So that process from the front side of, we receive a sales order, it gets printed out along with the print of the PO into the packet, gets sent over to sales team for them to fully review and highlight and make their markups, and then it goes back to the same person to, here's what I need to update in the system. Mm-hmm. Eventually would used to actually flow directly to purchasing first. So we would go from sales to purchasing, and then I would be told what purchasing purchased. Sometimes we would have issues where, this material's, it's material safe for the part, but we're putting in a 5-axis machine with a dovetail on the material, and there's not enough room to dovetail and to hold it. So we need to now order completely different material. A lot of little pain points across the board that realistically everyone now has visibility all at the same time. Like I've gotten to the point now where rather than releasing a work order because the material is now hit my desk and it's going to be here tomorrow, I have been able to get ahead to where I think I've scheduled out all of our work orders through February due dates at this point.
Wow.
And I'm working on some March due dates. It's on my queue next. But because I'm so far ahead, I am now able to field questions about ProShop work processes, and the distractions throughout the day are way less of a distraction to my workflow because I'm so far ahead. So I'm free enough to be able to stop what I'm doing, answer the questions, bring someone up to speed, go make sure the K drive's connected, whatever it may be.
That is fantastic. Wow, and you can just really be more precise about when exactly you want this material to arrive from your vendor. So you're being more strategic about like that arrival time for materials and BOM items and things like that?
Yes, our purchasing department was Jessica is the head of our department, and she's really good about planning out material receipt reception, I guess, timing of deliveries and everything. We've recently, I want to say 2, maybe 3 years ago, we got into more of schedule agreements, long-term
Yep.
agreements with a couple of the vendors, and we've got some parts where we need to lock in that material pricing through the end of 2027. So we need to order most of it now. And in the past, we would just order it, paint pen, hey, here's this heat lot, store it over there. Don't move it. It's going to this job. As opposed to now, Jessica has full visibility on, oh, well, here's how many pieces I'm going to need. I'm going to need, oh, let's set this up to deliver on this day and this day. And just everything's all in one place in ProShop organized. I haven't even gotten in to release some of the work orders, but because it's LTA, we've done parts before. She knows what the material need is. She can always reach out to programming if she has questions. She reaches out to me all the time, and it's wild. Just we were saying the machinists have confidence. Jessica now has so much more confidence in the system as well. It's like she's not just looking at the paper trying to guess what material size needs to be and rolling. She's taking what was estimated, working with programming, working with me, and then just improvements across the board. It's a night and day difference.
On that material thing for just a minute longer, like when you buy that much material that far in advance, not only are you physically storing just bars and bars or plates or cuts or whatever of material, but it's killer on cash flow. Like Brian must be trying to manage, lines of credit or whatever, just tying up, because the material can sometimes be a big portion of the job, and tying
Absolutely.
that up for a year, if you're buying for an LTA that goes out 2 years and you're buying that all at once, that's a killer.
Yeah, we've got really good, our sales team is phenomenal. We've got really good agreements set up with all these customers to where, if we are buying 2 years out, like we have down payments set up in incremental phases for, we've got it really locked in to where we want to be able to reinvest right back into the company. So if we finish all the jobs on the docket in the next 3 months, that, whatever XYZ profit is just going to end up rolling right back into getting another CMM or another machine next year. So Brian's really, really good about just reinvesting right back into the company and us as a whole. So he's got us on a great trajectory, and it's not really slowing down anytime soon.
Oh gosh, it's so wonderful. So yeah, let's talk about quality for a little bit, and it's a perfect segue because I think you guys were installing your 8th CMM or something like that when we were walking through there. I don't think I've ever seen that many CMMs in one room in my life. So I know that is it Martin that runs your QA area? He said it's been a night and day difference, but I mean, clearly investing in that much bandwidth of the hardware to inspect all your parts is huge. Either you or him were talking about, you used to have parts like lined up on shelves outside the door just waiting for FAIs and waiting for inspection, and now that's basically eliminated. And I'm guessing it's a combination of all the hardware, the CMMs you've invested in, plus maybe the workflow for how ProShop helps manage some of that. Can you just describe some of that a little bit for us?
Yeah, I would say that it's definitely hand in hand a mixture of ProShop and the increased capacity on the machines themselves. The old method of parts lined up on shelves outside the QC room, waiting to hit our 1 or 2 CMMs at the time, when almost every part for aerospace has GD&T on it. So you can't really get away from it. I would say ProShop has dramatically improved our organization from a quality standpoint in just scheduling the inspections themselves. Like I was saying, using Google Sheets, a job was just a single line on the schedule. And once it left the machine, we didn't actually move it from the machine because it was still on the machine. So QA on their portion at the bottom of the schedule didn't really have any visibility to it until it was done machining. Now with ProShop, we've got additional operations added for a CMM operation after every machining op and a static operation after every machining op, to not only be able to schedule all the CMM ops individually as they need to be scheduled and have full visibility to what's incoming and planning ahead for all of that. But also with the static team, we're able to hard check every dimension on a print that doesn't need the CMM, and that saves most of the CMM cycle times on top of it. So it's almost threefold. We've improved by implementing the static checks, adding CMMs, going from, I want to say 2 machines to 8 machines in 3 or 4 years, and then implementing ProShop just literally launched that off the charts.
So good. Well, that's awesome. That's such a bottleneck in so many companies that it's cool to see the, how well you guys have done in that area. And again, clearly investing in that many CMM machines is both a massive investment, but really wise when it comes to just allowing the flow of product to just be unabated by the quality department, and not limiting your revenue and throughput just because everything's waiting for the 2 CMMs to do their work. So good job on
Absolutely.
that one. Yeah.
Now the next phase is, I think we're one of our CMM programmers is actively working on multiple part setups that he can run inspection on 24 of the same exact part in one time, set it and forget it, while he's setting up a whole nother setup on the same table, so that as soon as that one's done, he can get going. And he's setting up 3 CMMs this way, and it's just, we're taking it to the next level. It feels like almost every day.
That is so cool. What a fun environment to just be in, to have all these smart people working towards making it all better. Like, that's got to feel good. That's got to feel good.
There's a lot of ideas for innovation all over the place. So it's definitely refreshing.
Yeah. You guys must hire for that. This isn't, unrelated to our questions, but you guys must hire for people that just have that hunger for continuous improvement.
We're definitely a special culture here. When you walk in the door, everyone knows if you're a good fit or not. So it's nice. When I came in for my interview, I want to say it was after work. So I left Disney, drove over here, and then I got here probably 4:30 in the afternoon. And I left at maybe 8:30 or 9 after just almost hanging out and talking for 4 hours, because they're cool people that I got along with real easy, and we all clicked. So everyone that comes in has that drive, and if you've got that drive and you're a good fit, I mean, it's a no-brainer. Let's get rocking.
Awesome. So things are flowing on the floor. They're flowing through quality. Things are just getting more effective and efficient. When it comes to your customers, it sounds like you have a really good sales team and a process, but sometimes customers come for an audit, or your auditors come for your AS9100. Maybe just speak to a little bit of what that's been like to show them what you're now using to run the company, how it all works, and feedback you might have gotten.
One of the engineers that I was closer with at our biggest client, we told him right before we made the transition to ProShop, hey, we're going to try out this new ERP system. And he said, good luck. Have fun. I hope the best for you. He was not confident because he has seen many shops take on a new ERP, and it just causes headaches and delays, and it was not the case for us. I was very happy as we were implementing to keep sharing information with him, and he was very surprised to see that it was just a seamless transition for us. Like, I say seamless, I don't have any other thing to compare it to, but we got out of paper and we are in paperless, so it was seamless for me. But we actually, on the audit note, we actually had our AS9100 audit earlier this year, and we primarily use ProShop for the audit. Naturally, there's some documents that needed to be checked that were pre-ProShop, which,
sure,
that was a given, that wasn't going to be avoided. But I can definitely say that the auditor was impressed and continued to repeat over the days he was here how robust of a system it was, and how he hasn't seen anything like it before, and how I believe he said he was going to start recommending it to other people, just from what we were able to show him. And then audit wise, context, typically audits have taken us 5 days to complete. It's normally 3 days in the front office and then 2 days of walking around asking questions. This year, the front office side and all the questions throughout the shop only took the auditor 2 days, because all of the document lookup, everything was just in ProShop ready to go. We didn't have to find something in it Explorer and, pull out the old binder of all the printout and go through the former QMS and yes, we're following this. So it was a pretty painless audit compared to audits of the past.
God, I love that. And do you guys, we talk about this concept of just always being audit ready. Do you feel like Ferrera's in a spot where, you don't really sweat audits coming up because everyone's following the system anyway because it's just kind of built in? Or
Yeah, the biggest concern when the auditor was put on the schedule in years past was, okay, let's go find the scrap shelf and make sure everything's tagged. Was there an NCR written for all of that? What was scrapped? What isn't in the scrap pile? The little questions. So yeah, in audits previous to ProShop, it was kind of a run around, make sure everything's labeled, make sure everything on the MRB shelf has an NCR attached to it. Whereas with ProShop, it's just a lot easier for everyone to follow the process. There's less questions. It's not oh, hey, I scrapped the part, let me go put it on the shelf. It's, well, where's your NCR? What does the system say? Where is the trace of this part in ProShop? If I see that you scrapped it there, we don't need to go to the shelf and double check because all the information's right here.
mm-hmm.
Audit prep was probably the biggest thing I noticed. It was just a lot more calm beforehand. The double checking records was a couple clicks. I can get it from my desk every 5 minutes. So,
Right. Are you involved in that process a fair bit with the audits?
I was privy to it because of moving into the planning role, and then I was earlier this year promoted to director of systems and process engineering. So I get to deal hand in hand with as much of the process as they'll give to me at this point.
Very cool. That's a pivotal, important role.
Yeah, without ProShop, I would be lost.
That's a juicy one. This question is sometimes it feels a little contrived, but would you describe ProShop as the backbone of the company at this point, the digital backbone at least?
Absolutely. Yeah, I would say we constantly needed meetings and email chains to stay on the same page. Teams messages back and forth. Hey, do you know what's going on with this? Interruptions in offices all the time. But now the default of everyone is look to ProShop first. I remember the first couple months of rolling out ProShop, one or two people, they kept hiding behind the excuse of, oh, well, I don't know if I can trust the system. And I just have to reaffirm, hey, yes, that is true in the old system. We couldn't always trust it, and I'm not I'm not worried about you asking the questions. But now that we're in ProShop, if you look at ProShop and that's what it says, you can be more confident in this system than anything you've used before here.
Mm-hmm.
So using just referring back to it really is the go-to for all questions. So
for some companies, getting that buy-in that everyone contributes to the system, believes in it, trusts in it, and doesn't have sort of divided ideas about it. It sounds like that was a little bit of an iterative process. Like you had to just keep reaffirming for people, yep, this is where you put it. This is where you look to it. You can trust it. We're doing our part on this end to make sure it's all current and up to date. Is that a fair way to assess that?
Yeah, and we've actually. What's nice is there's an extent of customization that we can do with ProShop. For example, we call our customer POs sales orders.
Yep.
Just historically we did. It makes more sense for us to keep that. So little things like that. I would say that getting people to buy in to actually using ProShop has been. It's been as we've been implementing and rolling it out, there have been instances of, oh, what do I need to do for this process, or can ProShop do this? And half the time I've had the answer, and half the time I've had to go pull up the help page and figure it out. But what's nice is using that help page and using ProShop as a whole, it's easy to walk people through what the process needs to be once it's defined. So it's been a lot easier to get people to buy in because I can show them, hey, when you clock into a job, this is where it will log your time, or this is, you can go see, hey, this person did their job on this day, this time. This is why you need to check this box, because you're holding yourself accountable and you're holding other people accountable. So if we're all holding each other accountable using the system, it's only going to make us all better.
Right. Yeah. No, that's really good. That's a very best practices way to think about it, and take it out of the, because some companies think, or some people on the floor especially, think of a system like this as like very big brother, right? And the way you just described it is very much, we're a team. We need everyone to contribute to, the teamwork of this end result of what the company's vision and goals are. And you play a critical role. And, you probably want to make sure you're just as accountable as everyone else is, and, all doing your part to meet that vision. So, that's a great way to frame it and talk about it, and clearly would contribute to just more alignment on the team and better buy-in and an easier time of that big change, because it is a big change, right? It's there's no two ways about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then also adding just the with the data being as accurate as possible, it only sets us up for success as a company long term, because it'll give Mike a better idea of, oh, like, I overquoted that. We didn't need to put too much time into that job if the time is clocked and accurate. So it's just that extra level of, you're being accountable to, your team as a whole by trusting the system, buying in, and just staying, adhering to the process.
So good. Awesome. This question about ROI may or may not make sense, given your role in the business, but any sense of what kind of return you guys have seen on the ProShop investment?
So I'm not super aware of what the dollar amount looks like. I do know that I've personally seen more work orders processed, more PO lines delivered, and faster purchasing receiving cycles this year compared to my years with Ferrera. I would say just from a work order standpoint, we're probably increasing our throughput by 50 to 60% just in the last, this year compared to last year.
Wow. That's a big number.
Granted, I can't say all of that is due to ProShop, because
of course not.
We've added machines, people, and CMM. So, but without ProShop, that number wouldn't be nowhere near as high. It was physically impossible for me to print that many pieces of paper. So with ProShop, it's definitely just increased that.
Very cool. Yeah. And you're saving all those trees too. So
Exactly.
That's a win-win for everybody.
I was legitimately running through one ream of paper a week.
Okay.
And poor Jessica had to buy me new ink every month. And now I have not ripped open a ream of paper in months. It's been wonderful.
Okay. I love that one. Yeah. I know we had a customer share, I think it was in a case study or somewhere, but they were spending like 25 grand a year just on paper and toner. Right.
That sounds about right.
Went to almost zero, so just that cost alone, let alone we know all the waste of all those pieces of paper floating around. And yeah, so that's good. That's good. With the growth rate you guys have clearly been on, there's probably not, it's not like a steady state. Oh, I can get all my work done in 2/3 of the time now, so I can go home early today. You're still probably putting in long weeks, but you guys are on this crazy growth journey. Just, on the personal side of it, how has it impacted you to have this tool in place that, has improved what you do, certainly in your role?
Yeah, I'm probably working just about the same hours as I was before, but I would definitely say my time is utilized much more efficiently now. Realistically, I'm probably in the same bucket as before in regard to my stress levels. Not much has changed really there. The benefit is it's more manageable now, because I'm letting those problems live in ProShop rather than live in my own head. Like, there was a lot that I was managing on my own, keeping track of, juggling. I would go through notepads and fill them out and cross things off and start a new one every morning and write the 7 problems I couldn't figure out yesterday and keep going. And now it's just in the system. That job's on hold. Well, why is it on hold? Well, read the note. Well, there we go.
Yeah.
It's a lot that I don't have to just live with and take home, and my wife is very thankful for that.
That's good. That's a testament right there. If your wife can tell the difference, that's golden. So fantastic. So with with someone listening that might be on the fence about this massive change and this trust that it takes to switch systems, what would you tell someone about that?
I would say do a demo. It's worth it. It's not going to hurt you. Ask all the questions you can in that demo on anything that you have questions about. The guys are really, really knowledgeable and can help you out a lot. But also, I haven't used a ton of ERP systems, but of the ones I have used, this one is by far the best. I would say any fears that you have about switching to an ERP system are warranted. It's a painful process to switch. It's not going to be easy, but it will be worth it.
Yeah, just got to get on the other side of that fear and that the hard work. But what's on the other side of it is worth the journey. So thank you.
Absolutely.
You guys, as I said at the very intro, you clearly have a very cool culture, very continuous improvement driven, the right people in the team, doing their roles well. Do you feel like ProShop has contributed to the culture that the company already probably had really well established, years ago?
Yeah, I'd say it's made more of an improvement to the culture we were already building. There's, like I said earlier, the accountability aspect has a lot to do with it. There's definitely more accountability now that everyone can see who's clocked into a job and who isn't. You've got more ownership over the individual machines. One of our guys really took it and ran with the written descriptions and the setup overviews. He was out there asking me questions like, "Hey, can I get Microsoft Word so I can start doing this and like taking pictures and putting this in here?" And I'm like, "Click this button and it saves it to the part record. And you can just save it and everyone can see it." I said, right. What? I can do what now? Next time I checked in with him, he had his entire setup for all 4 ops labeled and pictures uploaded, and just if anyone needed to know how to run that part, they could step in and they would have no issues. So it's super cool. It's improved the culture because that, like I said, that ownership aspect of it, along with the accountability, it's just, they go hand in hand really, really well.
Very cool. Yeah, man, having those go-getters to on the team to like set the expectation of like, this is what's possible and here's how you can maximize it. Those guys are golden. That is fantastic that you have him. All right, last question before we get into how people can reach out to you guys. Can you imagine what things would look like today if you hadn't decided to make pull the trigger and bring ProShop in?
I tried picturing it and I cannot come up with anything that even makes sense. Just with the number of machines we have now, with the number of orders we have open, I think Google Sheets would freeze constantly on us. I feel like Microsoft Excel would want to uninstall itself. It would be a nightmare. Like just tracking down all the paper travelers that were floating around that needed to be entered into ProShop to make sure that we didn't have anything else rogue. It would be a chaos. We'd be reverting right back into chaos.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, we don't want that for you or Brian or anyone else on the team. So I'm glad that's just a theoretical thing that we don't need to worry about. Awesome. Well, Cody, thanks again for choosing ProShop, doing such a good job implementing it, and just helping it, having it help you guys drive Ferrera there. It was really fun to meet you, see the shop after you've been through hundreds, maybe 1,000 plus shops. Like it's easy for me to see companies that are just really dialed in and things are going well, and you guys have a lot of cool stuff going on. So kudos to all of you for making that happen.
Well, we really appreciate it.
Yeah, well, thank you. It's an honor to help support you guys. If someone is compelled to want to learn more, either get a job there or send you guys some RFQs, where would you suggest they reach out?
You can find me on LinkedIn. You can also go to our website, Ferrera Tooling, Ferrera tooling.com. I am not fully aware right now if we have applications up on the site, but there are ways to get a hold of us if you'd like more information.
Right on. Very good. Well, thank you again for being on the show. I really appreciate it. And yeah, have a good rest of your week. And yeah, thanks again for spending this time with me. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Paul.